And we're live. We're live. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. I'm Tim Sohn with Sohn Social Media Solutions here in Northeast Pennsylvania. And I'm so excited to be here for today's show with our amazing guest and my amazing co-host, Mr. Jim Fuse. Take it away, my friend.
Great to be here. Great to see you, Tim, and very excited. It's an international edition of the Tim and Jim Show today.
Already.
And we are joined by our friend and compatriot, Amanda Webb of Spiderworking. She's an amazing digital marketing strategist coming to us live from Ireland, even though she's from England. So I don't know if it's because she likes the Irish beer better. Maybe she likes Guinness. I don't know. But Amanda, it's so exciting to have you here. I know we were talking before the show. We haven't gotten to actually see each other in person since before the thing that will remain nameless. And so glad that we were able to get you on here today and share some of your wisdom. So tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm Amanda. I live in Ireland because I came over as kind of like a first step to traveling the world when I finished college, but I met a man. The Irish men are nice. So that's why I live in Ireland. I've been doing digital marketing. I was trying to work it out today. I think about 14 years, which shows my age a little bit. Starting off basically knowing absolutely nothing. So I have made every mistake in the book. So now I can see the mistakes that other people are making and hopefully help them avoid that. I work with businesses to help them do exactly what the name of the show is, to help them save time and build a strategy that works to get them sales for their business based on measurement techniques. So I work with clients 6 months at a time. I also do a bit of training. I also love creating content. So delighted to be on your show today.
That's so awesome. So awesome. So Amanda, so have you been doing this for 14 years? I guess you're in your late 20s maybe. So
yeah. But let's say that.
Pretty amazing. So Tim, do you want to get us started then with question number 1?
Oh, the suspense. Yes. So Amanda, what is a digital marketing strategy anyway?
So that's a really good question because two things tend to happen. I meet a lot of people who say, I need a strategy. I want to know what I should post on, how many times I should be posting on what social media per day. And that's part of your strategy. That's your content strategy. But that actually comes pretty much last out of all the things that you need to work out. It's also I see a lot of people who call themselves strategists being kind of mystical about it, like it's some big secret, which it isn't. All it really is setting a set of tasks in place in order to deliver sales from all that time that you're spending online. So if you feel like a lot of people do that, you keep posting things up there and you get that horrible fear that actually all this time you're spending might not be resulting in any business, or you feel it's resulting in business, but you're not sure and you feel guilty and you're worried, that's because you don't have a strategy. A strategy, you'll always feel good about the time that you're spending online because you'll know it's aiming towards your ultimate goals.
Wow. And I think we were talking before the show, right? A lot of times what people think are strategy, they're actually tactics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Posting is a tactic. It's not a strategy, because it's like, what is it you want to do? I mean, so Amanda, how do you think then from a strategy perspective, what are some of the mistakes you see when it comes to people and a digital marketing strategy?
So chasing the wrong statistics is big. And like I said, I've made all the mistakes. So I used to do this stuff, but you do need to have an audience. So I'm not saying you shouldn't care if you have likes on your Facebook, followers on Instagram, followers on Twitter, followers on TikTok, wherever it is that you choose to be. But obsessing about that is not necessarily the right thing. You can make that part of your measurement strategy, but your end goal always has to be the sales. So you need to work back from that to see what you need at each stage. And sometimes actually you don't need the followers. Maybe you just need to run ads to build awareness of your brand. So people do get obsessed by that and they do all sorts of crazy things to get followers and end up with completely the wrong audience, which is one of the points of measurement that you want to make sure you're reaching the right people with your content. So that is one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make. And being scared of looking at statistics is another one. I know numbers are hard for some people. I'm not a great mathematician, but I like to look at specific things to see whether my strategy is working or my client's strategy are working. And I think often people just go and log into Google Analytics, for example, which I love, but you could get lost there. I don't know if you've ever been down an analytics rabbit hole, because I have. Have you?
Yes.
So unless you're very, you know exactly what it is that you want to go and look at, if you know the answer, the question that you want to answer with your statistics, you can get lost in that stuff. And you know what? If you do that, sometimes it feels good because you feel like, yeah, I'm on top of it. But actually, you're probably just wasting as much time as you were before you looked at your statistics.
Well, and this actually leads quite well into our second question, and that is, why do we need to measure our digital marketing strategy?
And again, I think people are a little bit scared of doing it because they worry that if they measure their digital marketing strategy, that thing I talked about earlier, that little worry that you have, that actually this is a way, you're worried that if you look at your statistics, you will find that you are actually wasting your time. So that's the first thing. You need to look at but before you look at your statistics, roll back right to the beginning and say, what is it that I want to get out of all the digital marketing I'm doing? Whether that's your email marketing, whether you're spending time on your website, whether you're making content for your website, whether it's your social media, what is the end goal? So if you want to sell stuff, how much money do you need to make for the time that you're putting in? So once you know the answer to that question, you can start measuring the stages towards getting to that point. So that's the first thing you need to measure, so you know whether you're successful, and so that you can get rid of, I call it the content gremlin. He sits on your shoulder and tells you, and now you shouldn't be doing that. You're wasting your time. If you want rid of him, you have to go and have a look. And you know what? If you find out you're wasting your time, that's actually great, because you can start working on strategies that will stop you wasting your time and actually get you those sales. So do it, even if you're scared. That's my thing. It's amazing how many people don't even have analytics on their website or don't want to look at them. I'm shocked by the number of people that don't.
Well, and Facebook, I guess, has recently announced too that they're going to be, I guess, really it's changing how you find the data, like on what's going on with your post. And, I think some people probably like, oh, there was analytics there. They didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But I think too, to your point, like you have people talk about, like, oh, we need to post all the time. And it's like, well, are you seeing engagement on the posts that you're doing? I love, when our friends Andrew and Pete presented a couple years ago at Social Media Marketing World, where they were showing all these digital marketing companies pages, like in front of thousands of people, and they probably never knew it. And there were absolutely no, likes or, reactions, I guess is the term. There was no comments. There were no shares. It was just like, so it's kind of like, why are you even doing it? And that's where, right, they needed to call you, Amanda, and say, let's go back to the beginning of what is your strategy and how can you say this is successful if you're not seeing anything, unless somehow your phone is ringing and you're getting business? Because I guess, like even with the videos, right, we get into how do you measure the success of a video? And I think sometimes one of the fallacies is view counts, because every platform you get views differently. I mean, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn right now with the Tim and Jim show. So we're going to have a certain view count on LinkedIn. We're going to have a certain view count on Facebook, Twitter as well. We're probably in the long run going to see more views on YouTube. And a lot of times it's about the, really it's the replay views, because as much as, we're so happy that, Dorothy Ann, Denise, and Stefan that we know of are watching, right? Because you've also got the stalkers that don't watch, that don't let you know they're watching, are here. your show's not always at a time that people can be there, and you have a show as well. And I think sometimes, right, it's very easy from from a measurement standpoint to say, oh, is this working? But then when you have somebody say, well, I've been watching your show and now I'm ready to do business with you. So I think sometimes if we look at the numbers, it's like, oh, nobody's watching
Mhm.
the show. Why would I, why should I keep doing this? I mean, what are some of I guess in that aspect, do you think that's where sometimes too we need to be careful as far as, overanalyzing?
Yeah, definitely. And I know for my live show, I used to just do it on Facebook. Now I do it on Facebook and YouTube. And it is like, if you look into your Facebook statistics, there's not many people watching the whole show. That's the truth. But what I know about my live show, why I still do it, even when particularly in the summer months, the figures tail off quite a lot, is because almost every client, now I have a high ticket item. So it's not like I'm selling something, I need to sell a lot. But almost every client I get is somebody who views the show. So to me, that tells me the show is working. I would call that my top of the funnel. That's where people are first hearing about me. And I have a style, I'm not for everyone. I have a style. I'm kind of quirky, but people get from that show whether I'm somebody they want to work with. And it can take a while for them to convert. So once I worked that out, I knew I needed to kind of do more. But not more live streaming. What I do now is I repurpose that. So it goes out in segments onto LinkedIn, onto Twitter. There's a newspaper, a blog post, and soon there's going to be a Twitter space as well, all around the same thing.
Cool.
Because I know that brings more people who are interested in working with me right into my business. So I'm trying not to, we're talking about saving time, right? I could go, well, I have to go live every day instead. But instead of that, I hire a guy. He takes a couple of hours each week to repurpose all those videos out for me so that I can push it out and reach more people. And you know what? That works, right? So not just from getting customers, but also from boosting my profile. People see those videos on LinkedIn, on Twitter. They feature me in articles. I got featured in an article because of this week. Or they will get in touch and say, I really like your video content. Can you do some video training for us? So it works really well for me. And that's my top of the funnel. Then at the middle, I kind of have my email list, which I think, I don't think I need to say that it's important to have an email list, do I? But then that would be, once I get people onto the list, they're into my funnel. And, sometimes it takes years to convert those people. Obviously, some people don't convert at all, but it's the next stage. It's a minor commitment to sign up to an email list. And then I've got a number of things that would push it towards a sale a little bit more. Like I have a challenge. I run mini workshops, things along those lines.
Yeah, that's amazing. Tim, what do you measure with your strategy? What do you find?
What do I measure? That is a good question. I would say I focus a lot on the engagement, especially when it comes to live shows. Like after the show, I'll go back and I'll respond to all the comments. I'll send some people direct messages, maybe start a small conversation with them. And I was going to say something else, but I can't remember. But we should thank everyone who's tuning in. Like Denise is here and Stefan is here and Nancy Barrows is here. So thank you all for being here. What about you, Jim?
Yeah, I think like especially with Amazon, measuring not only how many people are viewing, but also we get to see how many people are actually clicking on products that we're discussing during our show. And so that kind of starts to give you the idea of like, okay, is this really products that people are wanting to learn about? And then we actually get the data, after about 24 hours or so, and it continues on of what was the stuff people are actually buying based on watching our show. Like as an example, we have a book author on. We may see that not only did they buy their book, but maybe they bought like Think and Grow Rich or, The Ultimate Guide to Social Media, by Mike Alton or Mitch Jackson, right? They both have the same book title. But you start to think, okay, this is something that resonated with the audience. This is something we need to do more of, because especially now that in social, e-commerce is becoming a much bigger thing. We're just scratching the surface, I think, in the United States, and I think probably even as well in over there in Ireland and Europe is in general. It's big in Asia, and so this is going to be where what Amanda is talking about is so important, because you really got to figure out what's working, what's not, adjust your strategy. And I love, Amanda, how you're seeing, like, you know what, I'm going to start doing a Twitter Spaces, right? This is going to be another piece of my, supporting the strategy, because really the Twitter Space is a tactic, right? It's not a strategy. And I think that's where people, and that, of course, this is me, my military brain working. We look at the strategy, it's strategy and tactics. What you do on a day-to-day basis is a tactic. The strategy is like, what are we trying to get to? And so we think, you know what? Audio is a good tactic to get people into, getting to know, like, and trust us and work with us. And you've chosen to go Spaces where, there's a lot of people that are still on the Clubhouse bandwagon. But I don't know what your thoughts are, Tim. I'd like to know. I tend to agree with you that I think Spaces is the way to go. I think if you see what's going on with Clubhouse right now, right, measuring, there's not as many people joining. They're not getting as much going on. And, Spaces is even available now on desktop to listen to people's conversations. So I think that's a brilliant move. I mean, what do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I definitely think, experimenting with the different platforms and see what works for you, right? Like, and if you're active on Twitter, then Twitter Spaces makes sense for you. Clubhouse, well, now it's both for Android and iPhone, right? So that's good. So, I mean, I would say experiment and see what works for you. And Nancy had a comment here. She'd said she's been trying to find an easy way to grab clips from her live shows to repurpose. Amanda, do you have any ideas for that? I believe she uses a PC also.
So I had to rethink my live show to make it easy to edit. So that was the first thing. It's a news show. It's a social media news show. So I used to just go through the news. Now I have 7 segments. So I'm very choosy about those. And I have a little clip that plays between them that says, hi, somebody saying, hi, you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb. So during the actual news segment, I have to be really careful not to reference, it's a hard job, not to reference anything else too much that I've talked about, or to go and do any of the live bits. So that's the first thing. I structure it with the repurposing in mind. So to edit your clips, if you're on a PC, I think Filmora Pro is quite straightforward to use. My niece uses it, and she uses it on a really poor quality PC. So I think, you're not really limited to, a lot of the softwares, you have to have a really powerful PC to use. So Filmora is quite good. I just outsource it now. I used to edit it myself on Camtasia, which you can also get on a PC. I'm a Mac person. It doesn't have to be that difficult, though. It's quite a straightforward edit once you've thought about it before you've started. Because now, before, when I was editing it, I could just go to the bit where somebody said, hi, you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb, and I'd know the next segment was going to start. And because I don't have the mess in the middle, sometimes, and it's worrying me today that this will happen, sometimes a delivery driver will come because, and I'll need to cut that bit out. But in general, it's actually setting up the whole show for repurposing. And I did completely revamp the way I was doing things to do it. And actually the show's a lot better for it as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. I think also thinking about, like, if you're going to have subtitles on your repurposed clips, right? Like, you might need to, like, if there's a comment down below, right? Like, at certain points, you might not want to have comments or banners or things like that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't have the comments anyway in the repurposed sections, because that kind of gives, even though people know it's repurposed from the main show, it gives away that, I'm cheating a little bit. So I always leave the comments to the end of the segment. So I have my person saying, you're watching The Digital Coffee. I have my segment. Then I will bring up any comments that we got, and we'll have a conversation and go off topic, and then it's on to the next one.
Yeah, and a couple other tools. Headliner because Tim, like you talked about with the captioning, and that will allow that. And then I've also Descript is another one that you can use on a PC. And if you really want to go top shelf and have the budget for it, Chris and I use it. It's called Lately AI. That literally, I put my video in there, and it spits out like 150 clips in like minutes, and then I
Wow.
have to figure out what we're gonna do. But it's not free. But the other ones are all great. I like Camtasia as well. In fact, I just got Camtasia 2021. So I don't know if I should have, but I did. Right, that's my problem. Like,
Same.
oh, it's time to upgrade.
Yeah. And I also use Wave.video. They added subtitles
They're
to
good too,
Wave.video. So that's another good one.
Well,
too.
yeah, for the repurposed clips as well, I burn the subtitles in, for the YouTube file and the Facebook one. Obviously, I can't because it's live. I just upload a file. But for those, I burn it in because it just saves time when I'm uploading, that I don't have something else to upload alongside it. And you know what? I think it works as well because so many people wouldn't have subtitles enabled but haven't switched the sound on. So it's there in their face.
Yes.
That's a
Absolutely.
great point. Well, we're gonna get a word from our sponsor, StreamYard, and then we're gonna come back with a couple more questions for the amazing Amanda Webb.
And we're back. We are live, back on the Tim and Jim show.
Dancing.
Yes, let's dance.
Gotta do the Tim. That's right. That's right.
We are here with Amanda Webb, and we're talking all about digital marketing strategies today, and specifically measurement-driven results, measurement, something digital marketing strategy, just like that.
So
And
Tim,
thank
are you?
Yes.
Now you ready for the next question? Well, you were about to thank our amazing viewers, so I'll let you go ahead and do that.
I was. Thank you again to our amazing viewers, whether you're watching live or on the replay, whether it's the morning or the evening or midnight or who knows what time it is. We appreciate all of you, and we appreciate our sponsor, StreamYard, which we use to produce this show every single week and many other projects myself and Jim work on. So yes, thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. But Jim, what is the next question? Or am I going to ask it?
You're asking it, yes.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Are you guys ready? What should we be measuring?
So there's so many things you can measure. So as I said, we start with your goal. What is it that you want to sell? And usually the next thing we look at is the sales process, because it's very often it's like people just crossing their fingers. People are going to find my thing and they're going to buy my thing. So actually going through, hopefully you've got a website. If you don't, please get a website. Don't rely on Facebook to sell everything for you. It's like that could go horribly wrong. I don't object to Facebook shops, but I just think you need your own space as well. Go to your website and see what the process is that your customers have to go through to buy from you. So maybe it's they visit your homepage, they need to find your services page. Hopefully you have an individual page for each service that you offer. So what's next? Do they fill in a form or do they phone you? And if they fill in the form, what happens after that? Do you send them to a thank you page on your website? You should. That's a clue. So each of those is part of your sales process. Then what happens after they filled in the form? Do you send them an automated email telling them that you'll be in touch within a certain period of time? Or do you maybe you're just on the ball and you can just answer the emails as soon as they come in? What's the next process? Do you book a call with them, or do you send them a quotation? Do you need the call? And what's the stage after that? And I use Post-it notes. I've usually got some really close at hand, but I can't see it at the moment. I've got stacks of Post-it notes and whiteboards, and this is what I do.
We can see the one behind you, whiteboard with Post-it notes back there.
Oh yeah,
obsessed with Post-it notes. Use them for everything. So if you can map out your sales process like that, that's really important. If you're not sure, and very often you won't know because you built your website or you worked with your developer to build your website, so you won't know how easy it is a system for your customers to do. So you can either I like to call them a stranger. You can get a stranger to somebody that doesn't know about your business to go to your website and ask them to either buy something or to fill in your inquiry form, depending if your business services or if you're a project, and actually get them to record themselves, a video of themselves doing that.
Ooh.
If you can get a stranger, I
that.
do a challenge once every quarter, and this is a big task. We pair people off so that they can help each other, because very often you won't realize it, but they'll get to your website, they won't know what you do. They haven't got a clue.
Yes.
They've landed on the homepage, no idea what to do next. So that's a really good thing you can do. We're not even got to the measuring bit yet, but this is the process. There's also a tool I haven't tried yet, but I'm dying to try, called, I'm scared to try, if I'm completely honest, called UserBob. And UserBob, you can actually pay them money to do that. They'll get a stranger for you, and you tell them what you want them to do, and they'll record themselves going through the process. So if you haven't got a stranger to hand, you can hire one. Like I say, I'm a little bit nervous about letting anyone to my website, but it needs to be done. So the reason we're doing all this is that's your end point, right? Somebody buying from you is your end point. And the first statistic then you need to look at is your conversion rate. And this always sounds really complicated, but actually it's not. All it is how many people who visited the homepage of your website became a customer. That's your overall conversion rate of your website. And the formula for that is just, say you've got 5 customers and you've had 500 homepage visitors. So 5 divided by 500 multiplied by 100, which I bet one of you is good at maths. I'm not. I can't do it off the top of my head.
Are you, Jim?
Calculator.
Sometimes.
Sure that's quite simple, but I can't.
I just know it's a big number. So
yeah.
Yes.
So that's something you would want to work on. The number of people that come to your homepage, can you turn that into more sales? But aside from that, you can also measure each step of the process. So how many people visit your homepage that go to your service page? So this is all quite easy to find in Google Analytics. You can see this. Even there's a plugin from Google Analytics that you can have on your Chrome browser that you can just click it and see how many people have visited specific pages on your website. So for that one, it's the number of people who visited the service page divided by the number of people who visited the homepage multiplied by 100. And if you do that for each stage, you're able to see where people are dropping out or if the site is working from you. So then you want to roll it back. Where are those people coming from? The people that come to your homepage and the people that are converting. So are they coming from your social media channels? And that's why, I know for a fact that the people who come to me watch my show, but that's not a direct thing. They don't come from my show page into my homepage, into my service page. They usually come from Google, because they know me already and they Google me. So it's a good indication, but it's not 100% indication, of where people come from. But you can actually work out your conversion rate for social media, for email, for Google, etc. Sounds complicated. It's not. I've actually got a video on it, which if I remember, I'll come back and leave a comment on one of your channels later on. So that's the most important ones. And then you can work back from that. So you can go, well, actually, Facebook is driving the most sales, even though nobody ever comments on my stuff. What's going on? Or maybe it's Instagram, or maybe none of that is working and it's all Google. So that starts telling you that the time you're spending on those social channels isn't paying off for you. The next step then maybe you'll just want to have a rethink of the channels that you're using. So lots of people would be using all the socials. Right. So I know every year we go to Social Media Marketing World when we can. Right. And every year there's a new toy. We were talking about Clubhouse. Right. That was the new toy this year. The year before it was TikTok. And it's like they stand up there. They say, you should be using TikTok. And you know what? Half the audience get on TikTok then and there. So I enjoy TikTok. Right. But I'm not using it as a channel for my business because it involves me making more videos, and I'm already, I need to do client work sometimes. It's unfortunate, but it's a side effect of marketing. I have to do client work. So you really should be looking at focusing on 1 or 2 channels. And it doesn't even have to be, if you hate LinkedIn, I keep trying to do, sorry, LinkedIn viewers, I keep trying to do LinkedIn, right? I just don't enjoy it, even though I get lots of leads from there. So instead, I throw myself into making videos for YouTube and spending a lot of time on Twitter. And the more time I spend there, the more I'm getting to know my audience, the better the results I get from that. So I'll always have statistics I want to measure, how many website visitors I want to get. But to get website visitors, it's not just about posting links on Twitter. I've got to be engaging with people, which is what you were talking about on Twitter, making sure I'm posting 2 or 3 times on Twitter, that I'm having conversations, that people are responding to me, because they're the people that are eventually going to see my links to click through to my website. So although I have a goal, I know that it's going to take me time to get there. And it's the same with my YouTube channel. I have a goal there to get people onto my email list, but I can't really do that right away. First, I need to build the audience and get them to trust me a little bit before I start blasting every single video I make with, make sure you join my email list. Does that make sense? So
Absolutely.
That conversion rate is everything, really. Knowing that helps you use those channels to put people into your website, follow the process, and know what's working. And it also tells you what's not working on your website. You know, you'll find a lot of people are dropping off maybe before they fill in the form. Does that mean maybe the form isn't working on your website? Surprisingly simple things like that can be the problem.
Yeah. And I think what you brought up is extremely important, because one of the things, like, and you talked about, like, you're having a website, because, you know, we hear this all the time. We're like, right now, we're on rented land. This is owned by, you know, the different platforms that we're broadcasting to. Now we own this video because we're recording it to where we can download it and do what we want with it. But as a business, you need to think about, like, what would happen. And this happens sometimes, right? Facebook goes down, Instagram goes down. Yesterday, for a little bit of time, the internet went down. How would you continue your business if one of these things was no longer available to you? And some people, like, literally absolutely panic, because they're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't work anymore. It's like, well, that tells you need to talk to Amanda about creating a strategy, because you have to have other ways to communicate with people. Text messaging, right, can be a way for that audience that you've already built. Even messenger marketing, right, when we're talking about chatbots, is changing. They're now starting to roll it out to Instagram. So maybe, like, you know, where before you're like, I don't know about Instagram, now maybe you want to pay more attention to it, because I think the other great point you bring up is, right, you don't need to be everywhere. I think all 3 of us are on TikTok. I think I've only done one tick. I don't know how many talks Tim has done. And I follow a few people,
and not
but
in a long time.
But it, you know, and I think this is the challenge, to your point, Amanda, about what do I want to do with my business? Do I want to spend? And this is what I always find interesting. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just not how I am wired. I'm not going to spend hours to make a 1-minute video that's going to disappear in 24 hours, or post something to TikTok hoping that somehow it's going to go viral, right? And that somehow now I'm going to have all because then it's like, now you've got to do it again. You know,
that's the hard bit as well, because it is
yeah,
actually, you can luck out on TikTok and have stuff go viral, but the problem is because people are in their feed, not always the For You feed, rather than the people follow feed, it's really hard to ever reach those people again. You know, you have to be one of the real big TikTokers. So, and actually, I love TikTok, and I think it's really got potential. But I can see they're struggling as well, because how do they get advertisers on board? How do they get small business advertisers on board? Which is a real opportunity for now, you know, because of Facebook advertising is becoming more difficult when they have to make TikTok style videos. And that's hard, right? It's not something everyone can do, right? So it's a really interesting thing. And you know what? There are some really successful people on TikTok in weird industries. There's like this accountant who is totally rocking it on TikTok. And that would be the last business you would think would ever work on TikTok. You know, I assume he's getting business. I don't know what he's doing from that point of view, but he's making great videos and he's got a lot of followers. And I think that's just proof that if you focus on one network and do it really well, you'll get better results, even if it is traditionally the wrong network.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, Tim, what do you feel like you maybe are measuring or should be measuring that you think is extremely critical?
all the website things. I have not been focusing on my website at all. Like, right? We do all these live shows, and yes, sometimes people reach out to me, and it's led to people being in some of my courses and becoming clients and partnerships and things like that. But that was a really amazing point you made, Amanda, in terms of like, for you, people watch your show and then they might Google you, right? So it's important that you have a good website with, all the information people are looking for, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or the other thing is as well, you need a website. You also need to do email marketing. And I know everyone knows that, right? But so many people just don't. It's like,
Right.
you've got 3 prongs to your digital marketing. One is your website, one is your email marketing, and one is your social media. And most people just do the social media, and it's the one that converts the least, right? It's mad.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, think about how many people right now, like, at least it's funny when you listen to if you want to call it the chatter, I won't necessarily call it noise, but like, oh, I'm having such a hard time with Facebook and getting people to see my post. And, it's like, why can't people see my post? And, well, one, they want you to spend money on Facebook ads, but then you have now the new challenge of, at least on the iOS side of things, you know what? People, I'm one of those people, so you're not going to like me. I said, I don't want Facebook tracking what
No,
I'm
I don't
doing with
either.
my
And
phone.
I do Facebook ads. Like, I see all these Facebook ads people going, well, I let them, don't tell Facebook, will you? I'll be in trouble. But I'm kind of like, I want to know what happens when I switch tracking off. I want to know how bad the ads are. So at least I've got a constructive argument I can give to people why you need to switch on your tracking so I can stalk you across the internet.
Right. Right. But really what we'd rather have you all do is, right, you want to subscribe to our email list so that when we do send out emails, it comes straight to your inbox. So they don't have to worry about your phone or your, whatever tracking or is or isn't off. So I think that, but that's a great point, Tim. I mean, I need to do better at the website tracking as well, because I've had the same. Well, and I had some challenges with GoDaddy. They did some things to my website that, I just like, well, I'm getting, another business stuff going on. So, and that's where I've also learned about using web, domain name redirects, like using the .live for dealcasters.live. And we've got the Tim and Jim .live takes you straight to our YouTube channel. So those are things that are, making it short. And that's a tactic, folks. That's not a strategy, but those are the sort of things you need to think about. Amanda, what are some of the tools, or good tools, I should say, because there's tons of tools that you like for measuring digital marketing strategy?
So let's start with the basics first. I know there was a lot of confusion about Facebook analytics going away, which it is. Facebook analytics was a specific name of a tool that they used. When they sent out the second email, they got it right. Facebook weren't completely clear in their first one, and everyone thought your page insights are going away. But Facebook analytics was a bit like Google Analytics, but for Facebook. And it joined up your website via your Pixel, your Instagram account, your Facebook account, everything that you were doing within the family of apps. That's gone. But to be honest, I never got my head around it, even though I did lots of training on it. I never got my head around it. So you still will have, and Facebook are going through a transition at the moment, which is difficult, but they're moving everything from their various properties. So they've got Facebook Business Manager. There's different ways to access your business page. There's Business Suite. There's Creator Studio. And eventually it's all going to become Business Suite. So when it moves over to Business Suite, your analytics are going to be there, and you'll be able to get some of what you saw on Facebook analytics there, as well as what you see on your page insights. At the moment, they haven't finished that. So some people have Business Suite and have turned to a new page experience, which is another thing that Facebook are doing, have lost some of their page insights. So we're waiting to see what happens there. Also, one of the best tools for measuring on Facebook, it's got really dark here, sorry. One of the tools.
Storm's coming in, right? No.
The rain is about to start. Or Facebook are about to catch me, that's what it is. they had a thing called Facebook Audience Insights. That is also going away. And that was a fantastic tool for analyzing your Facebook audience. But what you want to look at on tools, in fact, Facebook still has, out of all the platforms I can think of, the best analytics. And Instagram is slowly crawling towards them, are you reaching the right people? That's the first thing. There is no point just getting hundreds and thousands of followers on your Facebook page unless they are the people who are either in your target market or the people who have influence over your target market. So you should know at least that you're not targeting the whole world. You are targeting different segments of people. Are those the people that are following your page? On Facebook and Instagram, it's easy to find out, slightly harder on other social networks. So I use all those. To analyze my clients' data. I also use Google Analytics then, which I've talked about a lot. They've just introduced a thing called Google Analytics 4, which is definitely worth looking at. It's going to help with things like the Facebook update, because Facebook, the iOS update, because it's not just Apple that are going to be doing that in the future. We're going to see Google following, and they own Google Analytics, right? We've got already seeing browsers going out there and blocking first-party and third-party cookies. So this is going to get harder. And Google Analytics 4 is uses AI modeling to see what's going on with your website. So that's going to help. But in analytics, you should be looking at the same thing. Who are looking at your website? This was a big revelation for me because I used to blog quite regularly, and it was a really popular blog that got a lot of traffic. But I found out that I wasn't reaching my target market so much. If I tried to convert those using Facebook ads, they didn't convert because all they were doing was looking for a how-to article on how to do something. They weren't looking for a digital marketing strategy. So that's where your strategy comes in. When you start realizing, oh, all my audience are over 60 and living in Alaska. I can't remember where it was, but it was something that wasn't my target market at all. So once you dive in and you realize maybe you are or aren't reaching the right people, you can start tweaking your content strategy to make sure the right people are coming, which will improve your conversion rates. Then you want to look at the popular pages people are looking at. So, are people just going to your blog and never looking at your services pages? Because if they are, again, you want to rethink your blogging. You want to rethink how you can drive people into your services pages from there and get the right people there in the first place. So really, that's what I look at in Google Analytics. It's great to have that number. And to be honest, when I started unpublishing or changing some of the posts I had that got me all that traffic, it hurt. It really hurt to every week go in and see my traffic taking a dive. But you know what? Now the traffic I get is more likely to be a customer that I want to attract. So that's something worth looking at. And that's what I use most of the time. There's other things, if you want to really analyze your website, there's user experience tools like Hotjar. But firstly, you want to get those first bits of analytics in place before you get into the hardcore stuff,
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize too, Amanda, these things are free. Google Analytics is free. I mean, that's a lot of times one of the first questions I'll ask, a potential client is like, if they have a website, it's like, do you have Google Analytics? Are you using the Google Search Console? And if they say they don't know, I say, well, ask your web designer. And if they don't know, I said, it's time to get a new web designer because those are just basics. I mean, yeah, I think the Facebook pixel might still work, but to your point, now that we have all these things going on, I mean, and then there's new browsers, right? There's one called Brave that people are using, which I guess is a little bit, is it DuckDuckGo is another browser that like keeps people from, or maybe that's
I think it's a search engine, DuckDuckGo. Yeah.
But people don't know that you're visiting them or they're not able to get that data. So it's a challenge in both aspects. So, but if people are coming to your website, you're going to get that information and you own it. And there's so many new tools coming out. I think I just saw that for WordPress people, I think it's Elementor is adding an ability for you to like add video to your website very easily. So like if because there is it's not going to happen overnight, but we do have a domain name we've bought for the Tim and Jim .show that we will create a website in the not too distant future where we can start to put some of our content out there, because realistically, the show, which is going to be 3 years old in August, right? Everything has been around our socials, and we actually finally even created socials for the show, because before we were kind of splitting it between Tim's page, my page, and it's like, we need to get everybody in one place, and so it's a lot of those things. But yeah, now, do you use Agorapulse at all? Is that one of it?
I do use it, and they're reporting. Actually, I find it really useful. Because I wouldn't be using it for clients. I'm just using it for myself. So I don't need all the cool things it does. I don't need all that, because you can have really fancy reports you can show to people. But it is a great place, a one-stop shop, basically, to see all your analytics in one place. You can't dive as deep as, and also because you're going to be limited with things like LinkedIn. I don't think they have an open API for that sort of stuff. So you're really limited on some of those. But things like, you can see what time of day you posted a post and how many people saw it or are interested in it, which helps you decide, is that a good time to post in the future? So that takes a bit of the guesswork out of that. I use it a lot for that. And yeah, it gives you some nice statistics that can either make you feel happy or really miserable as well. They have a great benchmarking tool, which the emails come in every week telling me how badly my Facebook page is doing. But that's because, basically I just do the Facebook Live on my page now, but it still hurts when I see that email coming in going, you're not doing very well. It's like, but they have some great tools there. And definitely if you're doing management for someone else, Agorapulse is great for that, because you can basically just construct a really cool report for your clients really quickly.
Yes, that's for sure. I actually used to use it for some of my clients, and the reporting is amazing. Not just the numbers, but also they pull in comments and all sorts of things that, make it tell a story better than just here are the numbers, figure it out.
And actually another one, Brand 24, if you're really into the monitoring side. So you've reminded me of that, because Agorapulse does a bit of it, but you can set up some really cool fancy reports there to pull out your most engaged users, the most important comments you got, so that's another one. But it is really a monitoring tool. It doesn't do all the other things Agorapulse does, but you can really delve into your strategy with those. It's a paid tool though.
Right. Yeah. Well, Amanda,
Agorapulse, but that does more.
this has been amazing, Amanda. You've provided us a lot of great information, and so I know people can connect with you on your website. What are some other places where you're really spending most of your time?
So it used to be Facebook. I've been going through a dilemma this year because, you surely know that there is no reach on Facebook anymore. So Twitter has always been my favorite. So I'm using that all the time now, which is at Spiderworking. I'm at Spiderworking on Instagram as well, but I'm not particularly active. Twitter is the place if you want to reach me. That's where you'll reach me. And my YouTube channel is the Digital Strategy channel with Amanda Webb, which I actually have two, but that's my new one, which I'm really focusing on. So if you like the cut of my jib, you can see more of me there as well. But those three places are it, really.
Awesome. And Amanda has an offer for all our viewers, whether you're live or on replay, and we've also put this in the comments. And you've got a workbook and template, and I think I'm going to have to download that. Is that okay, Amanda? If I
of course
look
it
at
is.
your stuff?
So it's really what it is. There's a lot of worksheets. There's articles to help you build your strategy. So it takes you step by step through each thing that you need to think about. And at the back, it has a planner, which is still good for 6 months. And if you're on my mailing list, you'll automatically get the 2022 one when it comes out as well.
Oh. Very good. Very good. So Tim, what does Tim Sohn have going on?
What do I have going on? That's a good question. Well, coming up on July 12th, I'm going to be teaching my first in-person and online workshop here in Northeast Pennsylvania on how to plan in-person events again after all of this COVID stuff, right? So how to make people feel comfortable at your events, how to make your events engaging. Like the last thing people want to see right now is another PowerPoint presentation, how to make it fun, how to make it interactive, and much more. And there will also be a live stream version into, yes, Facebook group. So I'm excited about that. So if you just go to bit.ly/events again, you can check out that over there. And then also I'm still offering courses for people who want to launch their own live show called Survive and Rise with Live Video. If you go to risewithlive.com/courses, you can check that out over there. A lot of exciting things going on as we figure out what's next in this world. So thanks, Jim.
Very cool. And I've got a couple things too. I've got, if you want to get started as an Amazon influencer, we've created a video at dealcasters.academy that you can go check out and learn. And it doesn't cost you anything. We just ask if you maybe give us your email address. And then for those of
maybe
you,
you wanted a tip, Jim, maybe a tip.
No, we have, I haven't gotten the tip jar yet on Twitter. I'm still waiting for that. I don't know. Have you gotten that yet, Amanda? The tip jar?
No.
I guess we aren't special enough yet, but and then also, I'm a big fan of the .live, and so you can get a $1.99 .live domain for your shows that you can just redirect people to get right to it on whatever is that favorite channel you want people to go to at name.com/live. And we've done that with our YouTube channel. You just go to timandjim.live and it takes you straight to our YouTube. It's a lot easier than, I kind of, my joke has become, you lost me at the slash. When you start reading something out and start slashing, I'm like, you have to email it to me. I can't put all that down. So Tim, who is our guest next week?
Yeah, so I'm excited. Our guest next week is Nancy Barrows, who's in the comments, and she specializes in helping people find their voice on social media, share their voice on social media, and make a huge impact by generating lots of engagement, whether it's through live shows or social media posts or all those different things, in order to make an impact through all those things. So excited to have her next week, same time, same channels. Yeah.
Awesome. And so Amanda, you'll definitely have to let us know when you start your Twitter Spaces. You can obviously, you can just tweet me. I'll see it, because I really am starting to enjoy the Twitter Spaces. I love the fact that you can listen to it on desktop, and it actually transcribes it while you're listening. Now, I will say the one thing for people that maybe, some people are like, well, what is Twitter Spaces? It's the Clubhouse equivalent on Twitter, but it's available on Android as well. But the other thing about it is that on the desktop, you can only listen right now. So the host can see you, but you can see, listen all the comments, but you can actually still go on your phone if you wanted to engage more. But, sometimes maybe you're like, I just want to listen to this conversation. I know our friend Madeline Scalar, her and Big Tent Social are doing one now every week on audio. They're actually doing it today at 3 p.m. So, go check out Madeline Scalar's Twitter Space if you're wondering what that's all about. And so I'm excited to see your space, Amanda, because I think you'll definitely bring a lot of value. And like we said, maybe we'll see each other in March in sunny San Diego, God willing. Tim, are you planning to maybe go next year?
I would say there's a 99.99999999999% chance.
I just hope if I can fly, I will be there. That's the one thing. Or if I don't have to quarantine for 14 days, one side or the other. At the moment, there's very few flights. So I've got my fingers crossed they come back in time.
Right.
Yes.
So once again, this has been a great episode. Thank you, Amanda. If you're watching on replay, make sure you leave your questions, and I'm sure Amanda or us will do our best to get you an answer. And thanks again, Amanda. Pleasure to see you.
Thank you for having me. It was great to be on.
Tim, great to see you as always. And
you too,
we'll
Jim.
see you all next week on the Tim and Jim Show.